Table Talk is not your typical D&D TTRPG podcast. We are not here to run you through our whole campaign.
We're here to talk about everything else in the space of tabletop roleplay.
I'm your host, Alejandra Wilhelm.
And I'm also your host, Mariah Gresham.
And we're your tabletop roleplay girlies. Alrighty, and we are live with another episode of Table Talk. Thank you so much for joining us yet again. It's your favorite tabletop roleplay girlies. Your host, me, Alejandra.
And me, Mariah.
Hell yeah. So if you joined us for last episode, we went over a cool, nifty little tool called Session Zero by Elise Resendez, whichever one is correct. If none are correct, we apologize.
Yep.
But it's a beautiful, beautiful system that Elise has come up with in collaboration with some really amazing artists as well, where it kind of gives you a lot of prompts for character creation. There are 3 separate decks, 20 cards each with beautiful, beautiful artwork and a handy-dandy booklet that corresponds to each one, giving you some kind of prompting questions in regards to character creation. Last episode, we used it to make our own characters. So if you haven't listened to that episode, highly, highly recommend. We kind of stuck to like what we get is what we get, and we didn't throw a fit. So whatever the wonderful dice bot gave us was what we had to come up with. And we had some pretty cool characters that we came up with. But this time, as we told y'all in the last episode, we wanted to use it for world building, which we kind of did a little bit of that in a previous private session that we had.
You and I played around with it.
We really, really enjoyed that. But for purposes of world building, we're kind of going by our own rules, which you are more than welcome to do. And basically, we're going to be choosing 3 cards per deck and kind of going with the one that we prefer.
Yeah, so that's actually noted in the book. It's like you can like randomly select one. The like different decks are called fragments. So, like there's legacy fragments, which is kind of like your character's background. There's bond fragments, which is someone else that they're aligned with or have a bond to, obviously. And then there's catalyst fragments, which are kind of either a rough option or like a happier option for what kick-started whatever adventure that they're on, what was a big sort of shifting moment in their life.
The call to adventure.
Yes, that. So before you get to the table with each of these, it says like randomly select one fragment and answer the questions it poses, then return the fragment to the deck, which is what we did last time. Or alternatively, select 3 at random and choose the one that feels right for the character you are building. So, yeah, when we did this personally, like we spread out all the cards so we could see them. And then we were really just picking based on vibes, which was very fun. Yeah. And if you just like fully want to open the brain tunnels, like that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, because I remember when we first saw this at PAX, the person working there was letting us know like, yeah, like if you want to pick on vibes or if you want to stick to specific color schemes, you can more than do that. And that's definitely what we kind of did. And it was very interesting watching how they kind of like worked in tandem and were both aesthetically pleasing together as well as like interwoven.
Yeah.
Because of that choice.
Like all of the fragments have like kind of associative words or phrases. So you could like use that as your basis for choosing it.
Yeah.
You could do like numerology stuff and like there's a ton of different ways you could go.
Yeah, correct. So for this one, we're going to go with, did we want to roll randomly 3 and then
let's do that.
One out of those 3?
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to go.
Just because we don't really have room on my desk to spread out 60 cards.
Whatever. No. The real estate is limited.
Yes. So, yeah. We have removed the cards. Because we described the cards last episode, so we removed the 6 cards that we had pulled for our respective characters. So if we get those numbers again, we'll just re-roll.
Correct. Yes. So I'm going to start with the legacy deck. And I'm going to roll my cards. So we've got 14. Oh, I've got like 2.
They're a little out of order because I moved.
This is a catalyst.
Oh, fun. But she shouldn't be there.
Legacy. I was like, there's 2 20s.
Right.
And I might not be good at math, but I know that much. Let's see here. Going through, that's 12. That's 8, 6, 14. Nexus. Okay.
I like this one.
Let's do the other one. 7. Got her right here. Grit, a bisexual card. We love her. And 3. Let's go through Cataclysm.
A super chill time.
A super chill set of cards, for sure. Okay, I'm going to go through these one by one. So Nexus is very much giving Bioshock. It's like, it looks almost like an underwater or like in a cave situation. There is a river running at the bottom, so not technically underwater, but it's very blue-green tints. There seems to be some kind of like tower in between these cliff sides where there seems to be like windows, as if there's like a village built into the mountainsides on each side of this chasm.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tower looks almost Bronze Agey.
Yeah, it's like a weird apparatus kind of thing. And there's a very large moon behind it.
The water seems to be like water falling down from it. And there is, some kind of beam being shot from the top of it.
Do you want me to read the description for Nexus?
Yeah, let's do that one as we describe them.
So, the city of your birth sits atop ruins of a people long forgotten, but their magic remains. What influence did such arcane exposure have on you or your people? Was this magic known, or did it remain hidden? And what rumors still exist about those dark places today?
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So that is Nexus. Then we've got Grit. Looks like a very icy, North Pole situation. Lots of spiky rocks. There looks to be some kind of person covered in like the appropriate winter wear for such
The appropriate
arduous weather. Some grappling hooks, so it suggests that they've been climbing. And they're kind of looking at just an expanse of ice up in front of them. Kind of like some of it is like spiking up in curved formations. There looks to be snow, like a snowstorm kind of happening. And in the background, you see like a very beautiful purpley blue kind of sunset sky.
Like the Whoville Mountain, but bad.
Like the Whoville Mountain, but bad. Okay, what is Grit?
Unyielding scarcity forced all in your town to scrape together so that they could survive. What skills did you have to learn then that you still rely on today? Before you departed, how were your people faring? And what are you in search of to bring back to them?
Incredible. Okay. And then we have Cataclysm, a super chill time.
Mm-hmm.
It does look like a beam being shot from the sky.
Just the hand of God.
Absolutely. The hand of God obliterating the floor with like lightning and then just rocks shattering out from the point of contact of this explosion.
A disaster struck your homeland, nearly wiping it off the map. What manner of catastrophe occurred? What did you lose? Did your people rebuild, or did they forge a new path to find a new home? How does this still impact you and the wider region today?
Okay. Can I do something fun and funky and technically choose all of them? Like all of these can be true.
I like that. Yeah.
So,
I like things about all of them.
Yeah.
Where it's like a time progression, maybe.
Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to reorder them a little bit. Cataclysm is now first. I believe some kind of event happened. Maybe natural, maybe magical, maybe a little bit of both. Yeah. But I think it caused like kind of like an ice age situation. So it destroyed normal civilizations. The few people that remained are now forced in this hard
to like eke out a living kind of.
Yeah. And they regularly send people out because you can only survive in one place for so long because there's limited resources and you have to kind of be a little nomadic and try to find some semblance of a life somewhere else and keep moving in these frigid conditions. And then where Nexus kind of comes into play is I think there is still a semblance of the previous civilization, but it's like underground, under all this frozen tundra landscape.
Yes.
And it is very hidden, very secret, and maybe
they somehow were spared the worst of like the cataclysmic
somehow
event.
Probably via the magic that they have in place. And I think that
they've sort of retained that like old world knowledge that is mostly gone. I like that.
Yeah. And then like as part of Grit, because they're saying like, what do you go out and seek and like, what are you finding? I think they're, maybe somebody stumbles upon that like old civilization. It's giving very Skyrim, like when you go into the underground where the Falmer are, like you find all that like old civilization.
Yeah.
It's giving that. But yeah, I like
that.
How they kind of pulled, and I like kind of incorporating all of them together.
Okay. All right, you take the book.
Okay.
And I will draw the next set. So we have 12, which is in the deck.
12 is Mystic.
Alrighty. So Mystic is, there's a woman, kind of an old, very like shamanic woman that has like a very twisty, curvy wand in her hand. It looks like she's in a very grand, kind of golden gilded building. And she has like a pretty large shield under one of her arms. And there's a little like owl, companion hanging out. She has like a big gold torque around her neck. Is that a
shield or is it like a wheelchair?
I was also wondering that. At first I thought, I was like, that's a wheelchair. And I was like, no, I guess it could go either way. Maybe we'll decide. We'll see we'll see what other cards come up.
Alrighty. So that's Mystic. And Mystic is someone close to hidden and unseen things. What do they claim to know? What rites do they practice? Who do they keep around them, and who flocks to their side? How did you meet, and what knowledge was imparted to you? Do they still keep secrets? Okay,
interesting.
And then one we've already pulled, so I'm going to re-roll that.
Yes. Okay.
4 is Diviner.
4. This one's pretty.
Oh, I love that one.
Boo, 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 running out of desk room. Okay, Diviner is a very, like, predominantly blues and pinks card. There's a woman, looks like she's submerged kind of up to her torso or her waist in water. She has, like, blue skin and sort of very, like, dark indigo blue hair, and she has a bunch of, like, swirling, almost tribal-looking white magical tattoos on her, and there's these little like white arcane rings that sort of float down her arm and sort of off her fingers. And deeper into this like pool of water that's kind of a pinkish red, there are these pink flowers float, almost like they're not a lotus flower, but almost like how lotus flowers kind of float in like dark water. They almost look more like a rose chrysanthemum, like
a peony,
like a very open peony or something like that has like a bunch of little sprigs of kind of arcane magic coming off them.
Heck yeah. Okay. Diviner, someone with a view of things that have yet to be. What future do they foresee? Does anyone believe them? Have they been accepted into society, or do they operate on its fringes? Do you think they speak the truth, or is it better if their visions are false and never come to pass?
Interesting. Okay. Let's see what the third one is.
18. Vagabond.
Interesting. 18. Here's. This is also an interesting. They're all interesting. They're all very pretty.
Yeah.
The Vagabond is like, it's a very kind of rogue-esque person. You can't see their face. They're in a very like deep black cowl with like gilded edging. But they have some sort of...
It's almost like coins, but they're
glowing. They're glowing, and it looks like they're either floating or they've like tossed them up in the air, and as the image is catching right as they're suspended in the air. But it looks like they may be floating and twirling around each other and glowing. And there's like... You can see different kind of like horns and blades as if on this person they're wearing kind of fighting leathers. And their face is fully covered.
Interesting. Okay. Vagabond. A fraud at almost everything they do. What is their most common scam? Who do they target and why? Did they always need to take advantage of others? Are they good at their con of choice, or is it all too obvious? How are you roped into their schemes?
Okay. So thinking about, because the point of this one was, which I don't think we did a good enough job explaining on the onset, was like, we're both taking turns pulling to build one overarching world. So we have our society that's sort of gone through this cataclysmic event. And then the bond deck is kind of different people.
Different people, different relationships.
Yeah.
Could be like notable people in the world.
Yes. So... I think, like, maybe we could do a couple things. We could have them either all be separate, or we could combine the diviner and the mystic character and have this be sort of like a seer.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
When I was initially listening to that, I thought of them as one person.
Yeah, so it's like maybe they live in the sort of migratory community, and their role traditionally throughout their life, because they have a kind of like ability of sight, is to tell the community where they should move and sort of like move them before, like, and keep them safe.
Yeah.
And tell them when they need to move.
I was even thinking maybe if you were to keep them separate, like the mystic, for example, could belong, or vice versa, whichever one, but one of them could belong to the Nexus community.
The diviner would almost make more sense to belong to that.
As in, like, they foretold the cataclysm, and that is how they were able to prepare.
I like that. Let's keep them separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, maybe the mystic leads the...
Yeah. To, like,
migratory
resources and things, and, like, helps them. Maybe because they're older, they remember, like, the before times, and they can guide.
And, like, remember where things used to be before the sort of ice age.
Frozen over situation.
Yeah, change the landscapes, like where there may be supply caches and stuff. And then, I think it makes sense to the diviner to...
would go into the Nexus.
Into, like, the Nexus society. And, foretold the cataclysm, but then also has maybe foretold, like, someone coming and, like, broaching the two societies. I mean, that could be the vagabond character. Yeah. And, like, maybe for them it is, like, a financial gain, or it's more like they were paid to... Well, I don't know what they pay, because who would pay them, right? Where no one in the migratory doesn't really have anything. Maybe they were born in the very migratory community and they wanted a different life for themselves, and so, like, it's like a ghost tale, like a myth. You know, that there is still these, like, kind of like an Atlantis type thing of, like, city under the sea.
Yeah. Or I was thinking even maybe, like, because, like, they're scamming people, right?
True, yeah.
So I think there could be an element of, like, I think they are kind of bridging the gap a little bit and going between the two unknowingly. And so maybe the nomadic tribe doesn't have, like, money to exchange per se, but they do scavenge a lot of old, like artifacts that they don't understand. And maybe they take that and bring it back to the Nexus community, who are constantly trying to, like,
recover and maintain,
whatever. And so he sells it for, like, an absurd, like,
I like that
charge.
Yeah.
And he's been bringing these, like, nomadic tribes, like, basic survival.
Yeah.
Like food that can't be found anywhere else.
Yeah. Like flour and water. Yeah.
That's, like, very cheap to come by in Nexus. And he's just turning a profit back and forth.
I like that. That's cool.
Or they, whoever. I don't want to assume
it can be he. It's fine.
Men are scammers, but incredible. Okay, so those are our bonds, our three main, like, kind of pillars of the communities. Now we're going to go through catalysts, which will be interesting.
These will be interesting because we're going to pull 3 cards, and then they each have 2.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. 20.
To the next page.
I love that we're getting all the bisexual cards.
Yeah, feels right.
A prophecy ignored, a wish granted.
Yeah.
Yes, we love when it tells a story.
Yes. So, prophecy ignored. Those who chose to disregard it can never be made to listen once it comes to pass. Who turned their backs on the predictions? What was foretold to happen and how much warning was given? Who made such divinations and why did they go unheeded? What was the cost once such augury came to be, and what remains there since there are none who stood to prevent it? Or a wish granted. With the power to rewrite reality, there is no more creative or destructive force than that of a wish. Who is the giver and who receives such an unfathomable gift? What was it they wished for? What had to change in order to make such a thing real? Was the reality of their desire everything they wanted, or did they live to regret ever asking for it? What happens when you get what you ask for?
So
this is one of my favorite cards in the entire, like, system. And I like it because I think both can be true super easily.
For sure. To describe to you the card, so again, we see kind of like a frozen landscape, which fits very well with the theme that we're going with right now. We see what looks to be like some kind of small child like character who is reaching up to the sky, and there is a giant like comet wish upon a star situation happening. But then just behind them are these like neon pink and purple, like almost cadaverish like hands that are reaching to the child from the foreground.
Yeah.
And it's just such a stunning card.
Wait, what if in the original Nexus Society, like sort of what happened to their dead was they would like submerge them in that body of water and sort of the flowers would produce from the bodies of the dead. And then so those pink hands are the dead, kind of like.
I like that.
Trying to.
And like the diviner, like the reason they're able to divine things is because they're reading like the flowers that are produced from the dead, which are essentially like memories of several kinds of people from an age gone by. And like truly divination is just pattern recognition.
Yes. And like they have a connection to the other side and like spirits that have passed on.
Yeah. So like, you know, maybe this cataclysm is cyclical and it's gone on so long that people forgot that it could occur again.
Yeah, maybe it was like a comet. Yeah, in there where it's like, because that'll do it to you.
Yeah, that will do it. That will do it.
Yeah, and then like the wish granted thing is interesting because I feel like the wish could apply to all of the people that we described, of like the vagabond wishes for like money and notoriety and like more power and to not just be like a gopher.
I like the idea that they made a wish to like, for money, power, a way to like make that happen for them. But the unknowing circumstance is like basically making them a bridge between worlds that is going to ultimately
bring
like about the connection of the two
someone
societies.
Follows them back like hither and yon and is like, or like someone in Nexus figures out like, where are you getting all of these from, and like follows them. Because I don't think the other community that's just like, hey, can we have some flour and apples, is not really in a position.
I could definitely see someone from that society following him back, because it's like,
where are you getting it from?
Struggle to get
That's
this.
True too.
And it's like, hey, instead of having to deal with this person, why don't we find out where they're getting
cut out the middleman kind of thing.
Or both could be true, and then now we have a party of three
interesting.
that forms out of that interaction.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think the prophecy ignored. I like to think of that as the other like societies and civilizations that were there.
Yeah,
like
they did not take the warning. They're like,
not take the warning.
Yeah, the sky is not going to kill us.
Or maybe they got rid of all their diviners or whatever. Like culturally, they didn't like believe in it and whatever.
No, what it is like the society that survived were the dwarves. The dwarves were right. The sky will kill you.
The dwarves were right. The sky will kill you.
Hashtag the dwarves were right.
Incredible. No, I love this. Yeah. The dwarves were right. The sky will kill you. And it's like, it's because of the comets that come every whatever, however, 500 fucking years or whatever.
You never know.
You never know. The sky will kill you.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, the fear comes from somewhere. People just forgot where it came from. Okay. I dig that.
I like it.
I dig that a lot. Awesome. Cool. We'll do another roll here. 13.
13. Ooh, these. I don't know what this card looks like, but these prompts are fun.
I'm searching.
It's okay. It's hard to find them.
Knowledge lost, technology gifted.
Yes. So, knowledge lost is once gone, it is a loss felt for generations. How is such wisdom forgotten or made to be misplaced? What machinations caused such an unimaginable thing to happen? What fallout was there in the cloud cast by such absence? Is there any hope for its recovery, or is such lore lost forever? Are there any left who still remember pieces of what was once known? And then technology gifted is an offer freely given with no expectations of anything in return. Who was able to so generously give such advancements, and to whom were they given? What were the nature of such sciences, and what effects did their presence have on the ones who received them? What change do they herald? How do these consequences ripple ever outward?
Okay. And the card itself is a little like robot sitting on some books. He's got some wires coming out of the back of him, and he is like holding on to what looks to be like a little page that almost looks like a bird in flight. and it's glowing blue. And there's also just a plethora of bookshelves in the background that are like almost floating in like yellowy clouds and stuff. And there's several pages kind of flitting about, very a la Harry Potter situation. I think the knowledge lost a bit. I think, again, that cataclysm, it would be like something similar to like if we all of a sudden had no access to internet or electricity.
Yeah, well, there's like that theory that like in the time of like the ancient Egyptians, where like they had, or like the ancient like Romans stuff, who had like self-healing concrete and like different things, where there are a lot of things that like past societies had, like that knowledge has been lost. And either through like some kind of big cataclysmic like world event that
Or genocide.
like, or genocide or like something, whatever, that knowledge is gone. And like you can't
very Library of Alexandria esque.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, like the knowledge loss is like all those civilizations that existed before the cataclysm, and then the few that remained were left to rebuild society with nothing.
Yeah, you go back to like the Stone Age.
Yeah, and then obviously through generations with all that knowledge lost and only being able to rely on like oral traditions, and then you're even counting on like, I hope the people that survived knew something about something.
Yeah. Like I hope the people with
if some cataclysm happens and all our engineers die, we're fucked.
The engineers are probably inside. You're be okay.
Fair. So I think that's like the level of like the knowledge was lost, so civilization was sent back to almost Stone Age type like tribes, and it's hard for them to kind of get back to that point with no access to any of the knowledge of how that even works.
Yeah, and it's a thing of like you go back to like a very like hunter-gatherer type society where it's like your day in day out thing is just eking out survival, like food and water and a place to sleep and like guarding the community. And like, it's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Yeah. Like, you're not comfortable and safe enough and secure enough to turn your mind to other things.
Yeah.
And so you're stuck in that kind of rudder. Yeah. Like, the technology gifted bit is interesting to me because, like, we've kind of set up that, like, vagabond character as, like, finding these relics and, like, bringing them to the Nexus community and using them for trade and stuff. And I think inadvertently, like, they have become this very important figure who is helping restore, like, a lot of knowledge. And, like, they're just like, I'm just trying to get my bag. I'm just trying to make some money. And, like, through their own kind of selfish motivations, have become
the gifter of knowledge.
Yeah, this, like, very vital point of contact for both of these communities that are pretty disparate.
Yeah, or maybe, like, he starts giving them things that seem pretty mundane to them, because of where they grew up in Nexus, but he knows it would make the people's lives upstairs easier, and they'd likely be more willing to part with other like artifacts if he gifts them something that makes their lives easier.
Yeah,
so he is slowly, unwittingly, like rebuilding society above.
Yeah,
by gifting these things that are very mundane, but to them who are like in the Stone Age, is like shooting them up a lot in levels of comfort and ease and whatever and things like that. And so I like the idea of like both between the trade of food and also access to like actively working technology, not just damaged like old artifacts that nobody can tell what they fucking do.
Yeah,
is like scavenging for parts. Stirring the curiosity in that like above civilization of being like, we need to know where he's getting this stuff.
Yes, exactly.
And figure that out, because like this is helping us a lot, but if we knew where it's coming from, maybe there's a place where it's not like so
we have
far.
More resources that we could go and like do an archaeological dig kind of thing, and we could take more pickaxes to this.
Correct. So I like that idea. I like he wished for this, and it kind of made him that bridge.
Yeah, it's like he wasn't planning on being like an integral like pinch point between these two communities. Like, I'm a bit out of my depth now.
Yeah. And like the consequences of their actions start to take effect. Love that. Okay. Let's go third roll here. 16. Oh, found her. Bisexual card. A place hidden, a realm revitalized. We love when the cards tell a fucking story.
They do. So yeah, a place hidden says, done so to protect a secret from getting out and endangering others. Who is protected by keeping such information quiet? By what manner of magic or might is a location obscured from sight and memory? Who was chosen to carry this weight? What cost is there in concealing this place from the rest of the world? And what does it take to sustain such mighty workings? And then a realm revitalized is with enough time almost anyone can be healed. By what force was this land first damaged, and what has been done to aid in its mending? How much time did such work take? Who championed this endeavor? Was the injury healed entirely, or do scars still remain as a reminder to the hurt once caused? What new things grow here, and what lessons learned in those What lessons were learned in those lands, and at what cost?
Incredible. Awesome.
I love all the little fun bisexual ice cards. Yes.
Okay. So yes, this card again. We still follow the bisexual themes. We have beautiful sunset sky. There's like ruins on the top level that look almost like, you know how like Roman aquifers are? So there's like pillars and then the stuff above it. And that is like a source of water. And there looks to be like some kind of city posted up in those aquifers in that ruin. The water trickles down into a river. And there's like what looks to be like the head of a statue in the ground. And there is water coming out of one eye, almost like a tear. And then in the reflection of the water, there is like an empire of a city.
Yeah, like this magnificent city.
Yeah. So, and there's, greenery. Looks very like the ice is thawing situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is also one of my favorite cards. This and the prophecy, the first one we call the prophecy restored. Yeah. I think probably at one point pre-cataclysm, it was a very like large integrated society where like kind of like each of the races with different cultures had their areas. So maybe like the dwarves were kind of like underground because they like don't fuck with the sky, and like humans were above ground or what kind of built up as dwarves would delve. Like everyone had their own little sectors, but it was a large overarching community or kingdom or something that was in this, like maybe the area, the land was really fertile and they had access to everything you kind of needed. And so this very like cohabitating society sprung up. And then when they got word that the cataclysm was going to come, the dwarves are the only one that's like, count me out for this guy, we're going down.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing because like one of these happens like every other week and we can't stop the presses for, every time a star flares a little brightly.
Correct.
And so for like the place hidden, I think it fits really well. That underground nexus was like a sector of a larger society that has now been completely buried and like iced over.
Yeah.
And like you never know it was there.
Yeah. And for all intents and purposes, isolated in its own right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that a lot. And like the idea of, that journey for this like a vagabond character we've got and how they facilitate kind of like the advancement of the society above. And eventually working into like, the Nexus civilization and the people that are suffering in the kind of tundra starting to meet and, where the Nexus has been completely isolated. Maybe now there's a way for them to start like expanding out and exploring, using the technology for good.
Like reclaiming that, like the wilds again.
Terraforming and things like that. Yeah. And vice versa. The people above getting access to resources, relearning their history. Yeah. And seeing where they came from and things like that.
Get some like Mars plant dome situations going.
Yeah. Yeah. All these cards worked really, really well.
They did.
In tandem together. I wanted to revisit like the Mystic and the Diviner.
Let's do.
Mostly to pitch you.
Okay.
Because we've developed out this vagabond character.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally, I was thinking about the Mystic and the Diviner and the characters that we made.
Yes.
And I was like thinking of them almost as like epilogue characters of like the civilization before the cataclysm.
Yeah, I like that.
And so I was debating like which one would be your character, which one would be my character.
Okay.
I think because, we've established that Nexus is a dwarven like settlement city. All that. So
Hashtag don't trust the sky.
Hashtag don't trust the sky. But if your character was the diviner, like there, and maybe that was like some kind of gift that was passed down like through your people, like that you were from.
Like a descendant of my character from the last episode. I like that.
Yeah. And like we established that like the above cities had maybe either had diviners and eventually like maybe through the development of their civilization started ignoring them. So maybe that's something that was common like every once in a few generations.
Yeah.
A diviner in your line or something.
I like that.
And then my person was the mystic. They stuck.
Yeah.
And somehow were able to like manage to survive. And so they're trying their best with all the knowledge that they've gained to guide these people to like resources and all that stuff.
Yeah, and even like how, because we said like your original character, your mentor, we said was like a hag, that like a secret hag, like a hidey hag.
Yeah.
So like,
then I too became a hag.
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah. Or she's still out trucking.
I'm living longer than my natural life.
Yeah.
Through like whatever I found out through my poison tea times.
Yeah.
And I'm now trying to help pass that knowledge to the people that are like now surviving. And I'm one of those like rare instances where I still remember what it used to be before. Yeah. And I'm trying my best to like
feel like this is ghetto. We've got to get back
this
to
is
like
real ghetto.
Running like we had running water, y'all.
For real. I had plumbing and a beautiful wizard's tower and books. God, I miss books.
We had ceiling fans.
Nobody's written a damn thing.
No.
We don't even know how to make paper.
Yeah. Half of y'all aren't even literate anymore.
For real. Like, for real. But yeah, I loved the idea.
That's cool. I like that a lot.
Of our characters being part of that like epilogue symbolization.
I love that.
Like, the dwarves being like, the sky will kill you. And like that. You like, actually know they're right. The sky will kill you.
They have a point.
And that makes it make sense as to why your civilization listened. Because they believed the sky would kill them. And when you're like, hey, I can see the future.
Yeah, well, so my characters' original like civilizations, they were adopted by the dwarves. So like their original civilization was murked by volcano war. But like their descendants, if they're like, hey, we rock with the dwarves, I guess we hate the sky now. Yeah. We rock with Mark because Mark rocks with us.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, like, because they joined that dwarven civilization, and when they gave a prophecy about the sky killing everything,
they're like, hey.
They were like, say less.
They're like, you were meant to be here to warn us about sky.
Well, we knew the sky was happening, and now we've got evidence.
Yes.
And it makes sense as to why, like, that civilization was so easily listened to their diviner and others ignored.
Yeah, because there's a thing where it's like, oh, like, maybe they had their own little, like, cultural prophecies and stuff, but they had never had proof of it. And so to think of like, oh, is this like kind of a foretold thing? And then it's also like, hey, someone else is confirmed.
Yeah. We've got a secondary source that says we're right.
Yeah. That's all we need.
And all our doomsday prepping has been fruitful and not for nothing.
Yes.
Which I love. But
I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this little world.
This is so cool. I love it too.
Yeah. This is such a cool, like, system in general, because
it's awesome.
No matter what you pull, they're like, it's that beautiful element of like, especially like having somebody sit with you while you're creating, because the more people, the more good ideas.
I feel like definitely, because like we did this last time together as well, and it was really nice to like have each other to bounce stuff off of.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot. Like you definitely could do it by yourself, because the questions in the book are really helpful. There's like, there are definitely sometimes where like I have really clear ideas and then I'm like, I got nothing for this question. Yeah. And it's nice to have another person there, because often like if one of you doesn't like brain empty, the other person's like, I have idea.
Yeah. It's also like, it's personally my favorite way to brainstorm things like D&D and like TTRPGs in general, because like infamously we both have our little councils for our respective games,
which is why running games is brutal, because you can't brainstorm with the people you want to brainstorm with.
The people I want to tell the stuff the most.
It's like I'm in a very niche hell that like no one but me really can care about.
Yeah, and I have to find people as invested as me.
Yeah,
and drag them to hell with me.
Yeah,
but yeah, it is my favorite way to like brainstorm and create, because like I very much am a throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Fully,
as people start like feeding me other ideas based around the thing I've prompted. Yeah, like, I feel like the picture starts to form.
Absolutely.
In that space.
I think it's kind of like like when did you ever do the thing like growing up where you would go and like sift for like in the pan, like pan for, are you like in Stardew Valley where they have the thing where you like pan for gold or whatever? It's like I went to, weird niche thing about me, I went to caverns a lot as like a kid. And so some of them, there were these little where you could like pan, like you were in the like the mining times.
Yeah.
And get like your fun little rocks. And I was a fun little rock kid to my core. I had
sticking pebbles in your pocket.
1000%. Like we had a rock driveway and I would scour that bad boy for any fun rocks. Like I
was also a rock child because my mom decided she didn't want to have to pay for mowing. So our whole backyard where we had a pool, anything that was grass was actually pebbles.
Incredible.
And so I would just be digging in them motherfuckers.
A bounty.
Yeah. I would find like the big rocks and break them open because they looked pretty on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like love a good rock.
Yeah. Then one time I came home with like a snake skin and my mom was like, cool, you're not playing in the rocks anymore. And I was like, well.
That's just cool.
Because she's like, there's a big ass snake in there and I don't know where it's at.
It's not here anymore. It left its skin. It left its empty clothes. It's gone now. You'll see it. It's a snake in rocks. It's not under the rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. You were saying about Hanny.
Anyway, like, yeah, it is kind of that like process of like, there's a little bit of like a thing I get from like, I read like On Writing by Stephen King forever ago and this stuck in my brain of like, think of like the good ideas are the ones that like stay in your brain as you sift and kind of pan through and like the other stuff will fall away and the things that really have like meat that you can sink your teeth into go and roll and you gain momentum with them. And it's like, that is like, talking things through with other people is helpful because it expedites that process and you don't kind of stuck in the void of your own brain.
Yeah. And this is definitely one thing that I like when we do that like whole new setting, I know we ran it like just us two, but I would love to sit with like all the players.
The other like Alyssa and Bex did it as well. Remember?
Did they? Oh yeah. But they did it for their characters.
They did it for their characters.
But
they didn't do it for the
what
world.
I would love to do is do the world creation.
Yeah, you did the world secret.
I did the world secret.
Which was rude.
I did the world secret, which I did enjoy and I took notes from it. But I did like the process itself. And then I would love to be able to sit there and like everybody picks a card.
That would be cool.
And then we like communally.
I love that. Yeah.
Kind of hedge it out because it would be 3 cards or something.
Yeah,
or
that'd be
4
perfect.
cards if we want me to pull 1 too.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that amount of players we have. And then just watch us co-create that. And I'll just be taking furious notes the entire time.
We'll just record it. Yeah. And we'll do both. Yeah. I like that a lot. This was a fun, which I like that we were able to, we use like all 3, especially on the catalyst cards, like 3 cards, both of the options. So it's like, by the time you integrate 6 idea points.
Yeah.
You have a pretty solid place to start.
Correct. Yeah. And especially for something that like, especially if you're a first time like DM, GM, that world creation bit can be very daunting and like where, you can rely on modules, but like as someone that tried to rely on a module and then toss that bad boy over my shoulder.
The modules aren't for us. They're for somebody and it's not us. It's neither you nor me.
It's not us. But I very quickly figured out that like, if I tried to keep this thing on a very specific path, it's less fun.
There's no point.
And now that I'm comfortable in that just like wing it type situation, I feel like I'm much more comfortable literally creating something out of nothing with the help of this tool.
Yeah, it's so much like that is easier for me, but it's also like that's just how my brain works. I think when I look at a module, it's like I like modules sometimes if you can like steal an encounter here or there. Like this is how many gobbies, and the gobbies each have 15 HP. I'm like, thank you, give me that so I don't have to do the
give me all the hard data.
Exactly. But like how you interact with the gobbies, I'm like, because now I'm gonna be stressed over like whether or not I'm doing that quote unquote right. And it's never really going to go the way you think it's going to go. And so that's why I go fully other way. And I'm like, hey, what happens. Jesus, somebody take the wheel. Somebody's God take the wheel.
It ain't going to be me.
Could be anybody's. We're playing Russian roulette with this game at any point. But I do like this of like, if you're somebody who maybe like you've run a module or 2 and you want to like dip your toe into homebrewing something, or maybe like you have an idea but you need to flesh it out, or you need to flesh out NPCs or something like this can be really helpful.
Correct.
Because it's just like a big database of like prompts and questions and potential information, and like images. Like, we're both very visual people.
Mhm.
So, like, we can get a lot from, like, studying the little intricacies of the images. Like, if that also applies to you, this can be super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great, great time. Definitely check out the Session Zero system. It's so well worth it for a multitude of reasons.
It's very fun. I was so glad I got it at PAX.
Yeah. I was mad I didn't get it at PAX because then when I tried to buy it after, I could not.
Which shocked me because, like, I assumed, I don't know why I assumed that. I thought I had asked, but I don't actually think because if I had asked, they would have probably said no.
Yeah.
I just assumed, I was like, yeah, you'll be able to get it after PAX.
Well, it's because it was technically in Kickstarter, but it's since obviously been funded, and I think you couldn't technically purchase it because they're busy, like, sending out all the stuff.
Like, filling existing orders.
Correct. So
there'll be a time.
Yeah, likely when it is available for purchase, jump on that shit because it's amazing.
It's very, very cool.
But yeah, it's coming up on time, so I hope you enjoyed this. We definitely did.
This is really fun.
And, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Table Talk is a podcast brought to you by Mythos Media Productions, bringing you a new episode every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcast. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Table Talk RPG, or check us out at our website, mythosmediaproductions.godaddyscites.com. All business inquiries can reach out to us via email at info@mythosmediaproductions.com.